Good evening, welcome to On the Couch. We've got two special guests with us, Les and Thelma, all the way from Birmingham in England originally, is that right?
That's correct, yeah.
And it's the Queen's birthday weekend, so I thought it'd be a great time to talk to them and hear a little bit about Britain in the 1900s. Now, you guys, if I remember rightly, you've told me about Birmingham being a real centre of the Blitz. We usually just hear about London, but Birmingham got hit pretty hard there in the Second World War.
Yeah, nowhere near as bad as London, but we did, have a period when there was continually bombing night after night. So, it was pretty, because all the car factories and the small arms were produced there.
Yep.
And obviously I was after them, and we actually lived in the area because all the airs were built by the factories. So we did get hammered quite a bit. Yeah.
We were the second heaviest bombed after London.
After London, yeah. So you teenagers in those days?
No, I was 5.
You were 4 when the war broke out.
Yeah, I was 4.5 when 39, yeah. But the Blitz was in 40, so I was 5, yeah.
Right.
But I remember pretty well, yeah. We got the first house, the top of the street was completely blasted the one night. But we moved down the street with my grandmother, who was in there. Of course, we were in the shelter, but when we came back, we had 2 direct hits on the street, and our house was taken out completely.
Right.
We wasn't living at the time, thank God. And there was another bomb halfway down the street, and I was very friendly with a little lad named Johnson, a second name. And his family didn't go to the shelter that night. They were underneath the house. He got 2 sisters, mum and dad. And they got a direct hit onto the house. And of course, he killed the 5 of them completely.
Wow.
And it was a bit odd at the time. They brought the bodies out and put them in the gutters and actually covered with blankets. And now, being children, you look at them.
So what was the feeling like for amongst your family and the people in the street where you lived? And
there's a lot of hatred, but there's a communal spirit, They wasn't going to get us down kind of thing.
Yep.
And everybody done the bit, and it's a kind of time when you could leave your house unlocked and you'd be okay when you came back.
Yeah. So did schooling continue during that period?
I just started the infants that year.
Right.
We got to school, but if they get a warning of a raid coming, which they did through Lord Haw, you're going to bomb Birmingham or Coventry tonight, they send us home early. So we get down the shelters and get prepared for them.
Yeah.
When I was in the infants, which is primary school, if you don't, the raids were always at night raids. And of course, being little, you'd been up all night, but you still go to school as usual. But they used to let you have an hour, put your head on the desk,
Right. Have a little rest time.
On the desk. This was just the little ones. We called the infants.
Yeah.
5 to about 7.
Yep.
We used to put our heads down and they let us have an hour's sleep.
Nice.
But
You probably needed
it. They'd have to go through the raid, but they got on with the lessons as usual. So.
And thinking about that time, given it's the Queen's birthday weekend, what role would have been the King at that time? What role did he play among the nation at that time?
He really elevated him up to a good position, because he kind of, the palace office was bombed, so he could put himself on par to the Londoners being bombed. So he'd actually come down after a raid. He would come out into the damage and walk amongst them. So he really done well, huh? Yeah.
Well, the palace got bombed, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
So it was a real strengthening of the monarchy in that time.
The community was a good spirit,
Yeah.
I mean, they'd be up all night in the shelters, but they'd still got to work the following day.
Yeah.
There's no transport, they'd walk it, so it was a good spirit.
Yeah.
Real good spirit.
And so it was pre-television and all those streaming devices then. How were you being made aware of what was going on in London and seeing the King walking through the ruins?
News.
that was later the news. They'd record it and you go to the cinemas and see it then, but we all had these great big radios.
Yep.
Such a big thing, I can imagine. Everybody kept up with that.
So it's mainly listening on the radio was the main thing.
So-and-so was bombed tonight. Well, obviously the propaganda, so there was a few killed, but you know, there would obviously be more killed. But
keep the spirits up, sort of thing.
Spirit right up.
Yeah, yeah.
It seemed to work as well.
Yeah, wow. And going forward a few years, the king dies in 52.
52, yeah.
Princess Elizabeth becomes queen, and then there's the coronation in 53.
Yeah.
Tell me about that period of time. What was that like?
It was probably our best time of my life, because honest, you know.
Right.
Everything was coming back in the shops. You could dress properly, and there's dances and pictures, and you know, real good spirit.
Rationing was ending.
And yeah, there's still a bit of rationing, but you get everything you really wanted, you know. We're starting to dress up a bit better.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that just as economy came back and there was a bit of money around and you were able to buy clothes, or was it just being able to access them?
Access, yeah. And money, obviously, you know, the labour was very short, so you could kind of pick which job you wanted to go to.
Right.
Your car factories, motorbike factories, everything we'd done pretty good then. It was a good period.
So what did you head into work-wise?
I've done car work, I've done assembly work. We've done picnic cases for the Jaguar cars, and we've done seats for the Massey Ferguson tractors on Wall Street. But it was a real good spirit at the time, you know. You go out, with a group of lads, obviously I went all the way through school with them to work in army, so we were all kind of close-knit. Yeah. There'd be a dance on a Saturday night and back to the house for a party, and it was a real good time.
And when did you set eyes on this lovely lady here?
It was a funny situation, because I was at school and Tom went to an all-girls school, mine was mixed, but every Christmas we went down to carol concerts.
We put on a nativity play at my school.
Right.
All-girls school.
Yep.
And we always put on a nativity play and invited other schools, different schools each year, to come and see our nativity play. And I was in the choir then. I can't sing a note now, but I was in the school choir. And the hall of the school had a big balcony all around, and the choir stood on the balcony, and the play went on the stage, you know. And apparently he was in the audience with Mike, sitting by my cousin.
I was sitting by a cousin at school, I never found out till.
Okay.
And my cousin nudged him and said, "Oh, look, there's my cousin up there on the balcony singing." That was the first time. I didn't see him, I didn't know him, we lived in the same area. But I mean, it was such big area, I didn't know him. And the next time, well, I really saw his photographs before I met him in person, because I worked in the office of this sausage manufacturers.
Yep.
His dad was a foreman inside the factory, and he was in Malaya doing national service.
Right, okay.
And his father
So this is post-war and you're in Malaya doing service?
Yeah, 1953 to 56, the emergencies, you know, the terrorists.
Yep.
Not as I've ever seen it. On the right place at the right time.
Sorry, I cut you off there, Thelma.
And his father used to bring these photographs.
Yep.
And nearly all the photographs, he'd only got a towel around him. Feeding him around.
The weather was good.
And I used to think, you know,
Yep.
he's all right. Anyway, when he was going to get demobbed from the army, his father and mum threw a big party at their house, invited various people
Yep.
who would work, and invited me and another girl that worked in the office. So we went to his house, and the rest was history.
Lovely.
Got engaged within 3 months
Oh, wow.
and married in 12.
Yeah,
He was
excellent.
21.
Yep.
I was barely 20.
Yeah,
It's got the best end of the bargain, obviously.
well
And
done.
that would be 64 years ago this October.
64 years in October. Well done. And you only came to Australia 20 years ago?
Yeah, 98. Yeah.
98?
Yeah, almost 22, yeah.
Yeah. What do you miss?
What do I mean?
What do you miss? Yeah.
Probably stay at the arms and there's a bit of the history, you know. Probably the narrow lanes, driving down narrow lanes, and nice little country pubs. But
Yeah, I miss the countryside and lots of gardens and flowers.
Yes.
I know with the climate here, you can't have such lush gardens and hanging baskets with colour everywhere and parks. That's what I miss.
Yep. Yep.
no country got everything, you know. I mean, it's a beautiful country. We've only got the great weather, the beaches, everything, you know. So
Yep.
kind of balances out well.
Yeah. So come back with me to 52, 53.
Yeah.
What are your memories of the Queen taking the throne and that period in 52?
Well, I was kind of 16 months old in film, so I was kind of knocking about with the boys then around the streets and the dance halls and that, and we had a real good time.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose it was just, a lot of my mates had gone into the national service, or Malaya and Singapore, Korea, they'd all gone, so the gang had got kind of smaller.
Yep.
So it was a bit of a wet weekend really for us. There's only a couple of us left, so. But I was just wanting to get me medicals to go into the army. So. But Tom kind of kept up with tradition, they had street parties, etc. But being a bit older, we never bothered with them. Did you? You had the street parties?
Oh yeah, it was a bit like the end of the war. They had the tables and chairs. Neighbours all got together,
Yep.
lined the street with tables, chairs, and all the mums got to make cakes. There was a bit on rationing, but they managed. They made cakes and jellies for the kids and sandwiches and all that, and laid them down the street. And there was all flags and bunting hanging out everywhere.
Yep.
Out people's windows. It was all trimmed up.
Did it all up.
And some had the radios, you know, playing. So it was good. It was nice. Television sets round sort of areas were only just creeping in.
Yep.
One or two had got them, but not many then.
Yeah.
And the few that had got them, the neighbours were crowding in and watching their television, watching the,
So it was all very exciting and people wanted to have a look.
It's good.
Yeah.
It is. And they had races, you know, street racing for the kids. Up until 16-year-olds.
Yep.
Well, I was still 16, so I went in the races.
Yep.
The 14 to 16. I won the race.
Ah, speedy.
I remember winning a little cake, a 2-tier cake.
Yep.
One of the neighbours must have contributed that, you know.
That was the council clean up, put it in the prizes for the kids at the races.
So, yeah, it was good, wasn't it? Well, I had a good time.
Yeah, I saw lots of my mates. And,
Yeah, they made a lot of it, you know. It's a bit like the end of the war again, you know.
Yeah,
Everybody
the excitement
was
of that.
Feeling, you know.
So 1953, Coronation. What are your memories of that day?
we've seen the newsreels afterwards, and really, they look pretty good, you know, the processions and that, because we hadn't got television at the time, so we had to wait to go to the cinema to actually see them. But I think it was a bit damp, a bit rainy, wasn't it, that day, if I remember right?
Well, just cloudy. I remember because we had street race, you know, it was grey, but I don't remember it raining. It was just very cloudy.
Yeah, but I think the star of the show really was the Queen of Tonga. Everybody paid a fuss with the Queen, didn't they? The Queen of Tonga.
Oh, Saloti of Tonga. Yeah.
So what happened there?
Yeah,
She was
they made
such
a real fuss.
outgoing person, you know, and she got kind of carried to herself. So everybody
big
loved
lady.
her.
Right.
She's such a good personality, you know, like
Yeah, and everybody warmed to her. And it was in all the papers, a photograph sitting in this big gold carriage, smiling.
Right.
Yeah. And in recent years, well, the last couple of years, we've been on cruises, as you know, and we've seen her grave in Tonga.
Yep.
It's Queen Saloti, so that brought back some memories.
So, I mean, it feels a bit strange for me thinking about, you know, the coronation seems to be like, you know, it's the event of the year, but as it's taking place, was it being broadcast on radio?
And people who got the television, they was watching that, yeah.
Yeah. But for most, you had to wait.
For the newsreels, yeah, the following week, it took a few days to make, then everybody see them, yeah.
Yeah, so you don't actually get footage for a couple of days to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what were people's feelings towards the Queen in those days?
Oh, very pro-royalist, very much, yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's a good Queen. So,
Oh, everybody was pleased, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were, they liked her.
So there was a lot of affection for her through those years.
Yeah.
I think there has been most of her reign. She's been a bit like that, hasn't she? Had the down periods and the up periods.
So what's your opinion of the Queen and the royal family?
Well, I think Britain probably need them more than Australia do. I think.
Yep.
But if I'd been born in Australia, I'd have probably got a different view altogether.
Right.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
I think the Queen's done a good job.
Yep.
I like the Queen and her mother and father, but I mean some of the Queen's children have been, not so.
No.
Challenge of the age. Yep. So of the royal family, who's your favourite?
I suppose everybody would say Harry, wouldn't they? Really,
Well, I mean, I suppose you've
should have got married. I think he's going to be subdued now since he's been married. But
I was going to say, you've seen the royal family over a longer period of time.
Yeah.
So over the years, who's been your favourite royal?
Favourite. Well, I think now it's William.
it would be William, yeah.
William, I know.
He's not so outgoing as Harry, but
But I've always liked the Queen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Les and Thelma, thank you for coming and joining us on the couch. It's been great to get to know you and hear a little bit about some of those early days in England. And
You're welcome.
it's been a pleasure having you. Thank you.